Hello and welcome back to the OnlyAccies podcast. Now, usually we start one of these things by saying there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot been going on. I don't actually think this has been more true than the episode we're on currently. Obviously, there's the embarrassment of Auchinleck Talbot in the Cup. There is, from when we were recording last night's game against Kilmarnock, with a 4-minute collapse at the end of the game. There's protests at the stadium, and then Stuart Taylor's comments about the January transfer window. All of that to come up in this episode. I suppose the best place to start is Auchinleck Talbot. Brandon, we were at the game, unfortunately, and I find myself lost for words a wee bit. We both were after the game. We are sitting in the bar beforehand. The team comes out, and what's everyone's reaction in the bowling club when that team comes out?
Well, my first reaction, I didn't have my phone on me, so my first reaction was to go and ask somebody to use it to put a belt on. So, we really shouldn't be laughing about it, if I'm being honest, but it's just a sad state of affairs that we're in now, that if you don't laugh, then you will cry, and it's just, it's really sad when your first instinct is that a team that's 4 tiers below you, junior level, and you think it's going to be a comfortable win, and from the outside people see, oh, this is such a cup shock, it's a giant killing. Couldn't be any further away from it, in my opinion. It's just, everybody saw it coming. The thing that sort of set it up for me was when a fan says that apparently Stuart Taylor told him the day before that it was a potential banana skin. I mean, you're in the media saying that you want to change the mentality, and if that's your mentality, then how the hell is that meant to filter through to the team if the manager's saying that it's got a potential to be an upset? At the game, I don't know your thoughts about how the performance sort of went, but it wasn't the fact that Auchinleck played exceptionally well. It was because how poor we played.
I mean, when the team came out, that was the first thing we all said was, well, we know how this is going to go, and as you said at the start, it's a sad state of affairs when you put a team out against a junior team and all the fans are going, well, that's us lost then. I couldn't tell you how many Accies fans I spoke to that had Auchinleck on their bets. That's a horrible place to be. On the performance in general, I think we do need to give credit to Auchinleck because, listen, we were poor, so poor, right? But Auchinleck deserved the win. I don't want to take anything away from that. Like you said, they maybe didn't play amazing. Obviously, it wasn't an amazing showcase of football, but they fought harder, they worked harder, and they seemed fitter, which is scary. But that came across in the game. I mean, I'm standing, obviously, speaking to Accies fans and that during the game, and they're all saying that everybody's saying the same thing. We know this is going. We know what's happening here. And sure enough, there it was. I said just before halftime, the worst thing that could happen is we go in 0-0 here, because that lowers our confidence and heightens theirs. And sure enough, they go and get the first goal. And from then on, it was impossible for us to do anything. We were shocking. And after the game, some players, 3 players, Moyo, Virtanen and Andy Ryan, attempted to come over to the fans to applaud and to apologise. And I don't think there's an easier way to put this, Brandon. We weren't happy about that. we didn't accept that.
No, I've no qualms admitting that I was one of the fans that at the end of the game I was still behind the goal, and they're coming over. I'm shooing them away, shooing them away as if I don't know, but no. I know, fair enough, they've came over, they've attempted to clap us, but I suppose at least they 3 have shown something at the rest of the team. The rest of the team have went down the tunnel straight away. He's doing embarrassed, and rightly so. They've came over to clap us, and the fans have sort of just not accepted it, and quite rightly so, didn't accept it. I think during the game, quite a lot of fans actually headed down to the dugout. Yeah. I wish, to an extent, I kind of wish that I was one of them so I could hear what was said, because I've not actually talked to MD that done that, to sort of have an understanding of what was said. And when I was looking around when it was going on, you in there thought it was going on, because the full dugout didn't even give them any attention whatsoever. They just faced straight on. So that's a situation that obviously occurred in the game. And the fans have got every right to do that. In my opinion, I don't think there'd have been any abuse. I think they'd have been voicing their opinion about how not good it was. And I think the thing that sort of kicked that off was the sub, which he made when he brings on a defensive mid when you're chasing a game.
Yeah.
Regardless who you're playing, whether it's a team that's better than you or not, or in this case, a team that's 4 tiers below you that play junior football, you're getting beat and you bring on a defensive mid. I think when that happened, that just sort of confirmed that we weren't going to win. That just confirmed the sort of loser mentality that seems to be going through the club at the present moment that everybody's going on about.
Yeah. And obviously after the game, we were on the fan bus coming home, and after the game, there was I want to say hastily organised protest down at the stadium, right? To be fair to the people who weren't there, it was brought up 10 minutes before we got to Hamilton. So listen, fair play to everybody who went down. I'm with you on that one. For what happened when we went down there, peaceful. That's the biggest thing that needs to be highlighted. There was no violence. Nothing was broken. You know, it was a peaceful protest, and it was in the same ilk of what happened with Brian Rice after the Rangers result. Fans wanted answers. Fans wanted to speak to Stuart Taylor. Fans wanted to speak to some of the players if they could and get answers. Because what happened at the Rangers protest was fair play to Brian Rice. You can say whatever you want about his management style, but he had the balls to come out and speak to fans after the game and hold his hand up on things. Stuart Taylor didn't do that, and the players didn't do that. And it's not great. It's not a good look. You know, when you go down there, and as I've said, we'll say a million times more, fans just wanted answers. They just wanted to speak to them, and they never got that opportunity. Obviously, there was a police presence and all that as well. I don't have any problems with fans going down and voicing their opinions and all that. As you said before, they're more than right to do that. You know, I'd have just liked to have seen Stuart Taylor, Brian Easton, the captain, Andy Ryan, whoever, to come over and at least speak to the fans, at least acknowledge the fans in some way. That would have been the best thing to happen, in my opinion. What are yours?
I just think you've obviously touched on, and you don't like going back to past events and talk about past managers, but like you said, the Brian Rice incident, it shows the sort of, it shows the difference in, I'd maybe say, current situation. It's been a rather toxic place over the past couple of years. I don't think that you can shy away from that. I'd maybe say things have not been going well for a few years, but when I say toxic, it's probably this season's been probably the worst. And I think due to sort of just how, I think maybe Stuart Taylor and the players and the board or whoever didn't come out to it. It wasn't necessarily to react to the result. I think it was more so because how everything's been going recently on social media. It's nothing's just, like, the fans are showing their displeasure in every line of social media at the present moment. You've got people that say that they've went to games for over 60 years, saying they've never felt so disinterested, disengaged with the club. So I feel like the fact that you had about 30 fans that have went down to the ground to peacefully protest, as you say, very hastily arranged. It wasn't premeditated. It was literally on the bus on the way back to Hamilton 10 minutes before that it was made. They've went down there just to get answers, really. They wanted somebody to step up and not even show some balls, just give the fans what they deserve. Fans deserve answers, and we're just not getting anything at the present moment. And the fact that you're calling, what was it, 6 police cars and dogs. 30 fans. Like, come on to fuck, man. Like, it's just gone on. All they wanted and all we wanted was answers. It was all done peacefully, and it was always going to be done peacefully. But the fact that they didn't even come out, give us answers, the fact that they phoned the police on us, and the fact that he even had some players shouting back at us was just shows the sort of level of disengagement throughout the full club and fans at the present moment. It's not a good look.
No, it's not. And we were told in the press, we were fed that line by, and fair play to Sean Wan, he came out in the press and said that the result was embarrassing. Andy Ryan said similar things in the past as well, and we were fed the line again about putting it right, about correcting it against Kilmarnock. Before the game, we put our score predictions out. I said in mine that I expected to see a lot more fight and a lot more passion for the team against Kilmarnock, and I honestly thought that's what I'd get, and I was wrong. I was very wrong. It was a really, really poor game of football. Neither side were good. Neither side played well. I don't know what happened, if I'm being totally honest with you. I really, really don't. We go 1-0 down, and obviously you're thinking, well, that's that, then we lose the game. David Moyle gets a goal, pulls it back to 1 each. Then we get a penalty. The man, David Moyle wins a penalty then. Andy Ryan, by the way, I'll put a clip of the penalty in here. Unbelievable penalty. We go 2-1 up, 85th minute, and then collapse, total and utter collapse. And if there was any game that summed up Aki's season, I think it was the last 10 minutes of that game. We go 2-1 ahead, we pull off a comeback, and then it's ripped away from us when 89th and a 92nd minute goal, whatever. Duplicate goals, replicate goals, by the way. The one corner, we win the ball, far post, free man at the back post, he heads it in. The second corner, Luke Matheson, I don't want to put the blame on Luke Matheson at all, by the way, but Luke Matheson tries to head the ball while it's on the ground. Just what? That's how they get their corner, and obviously they go and get the winner. We had a makeshift backline to the last of it. We lost players to injury. Sean Want and Jamie Hamilton came off with injuries, so that's a good laugh. Ben Sterling as well. So I don't want to give them the excuse if it's a makeshift backline, Keely McDonald playing centre half or whatever. But to lose 2 duplicate goals in the last minutes of games, this is not the first time this has happened this season. Obviously, we all know fucking about Morton, and just it was absolutely horrific. And after the game, I've not put a match reaction out. I did film my reactions. I don't know if I'll put it in here, but when the game was finishing up and they scored their goal, I left. I walked out along with many, many other Accies fans, because I didn't want to go and speak to Stuart Taylor or a player after the game. I couldn't do that to myself, do you know what I mean? And it's just horrible. The attendance was so incredibly low. We saw the photos online. Just the whole thing about the club's horrible right now. And as I said, if you want to sum up Aki's season, that's the last 10 minutes sums it up perfectly.
I mean, I thought we won the game, mate, judging by social media.
But we shouldn't laugh. We really shouldn't laugh about that.
No, you don't. As you keep saying, don't laugh, you cry. But no, everything about yesterday just, summed Aki's up to a T. You've got Moyo scoring the opener, and then scoring the equaliser. Sorry. Then we get that penalty, and you think you've won it, and then, as per usual, they score late, and then they score another late goal for us to get beat. I think in my preview I said it would be sort of similar to that. I didn't predict it would have went in that manner, but I knew there wouldn't be a lot in the game. I thought we would have had a much stronger lineup than we did against Auchinleck, and we did. But obviously I said Kelly penalties, but obviously the manner in which we've got beat is even worse than that. It's just, that is a football result. summed everything up. As you touched on, the amount of fans are clearly now just voicing with their feet. The Accies support is, luckily for the board and the manager over the years, hasn't really been one to sort of do any protests or sort of really make their voices known. Yeah, social media, you do see people, but I think a lot of the past few weeks, surely the board need to be noticing, because it's not just the 15 Warriors. There was about 100 home fans maximum. See, when you take away scouts, Yogi Hughes, fucking players' families, there's no more than 100 Accies fans there. And for a team that's just get relegated for 7 years in the top flight, that surely, regardless if Accies are known for having such a small support, that has to speak volumes. Like, why is that not getting talked about more? For a team that's been in the top flight for 7 years to then now be having 100 home fans, like, come on, fuck.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating that we just seem to get ignored. We get passed off as if it is just a minority speaking up, or we don't need the fans. But I just don't understand it, mate. We've tried to sort of make things better as much as we can. We've took abuse for it because we've only been trying to better things, and it's not a nice place, mate. At the present moment, really not a nice place, and you're just going to see more and more fans voicing their well and truly deserved opinions on things, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more to come in these recent weeks, judging by social media, because we'd never on social media. It's not just a couple of fans that's saying things. You've got people that are 60, 70-year-old, 50-year-old, people that have went to support the Accies longer than me and you combined's lifetime. Do you know what I mean? So, it's just another than that.
Somebody made an interesting comment online regarding the attendance, saying loyalty only gets you so far, and that's the case. Accies fans have been loyal for too long, when it's now at a point now where they're not getting anything back. So why would they continue that loyalty? And again, you saw that with the photos that went up of the attendance. I was at the game, obviously, and I honestly didn't think the attendance looked as low as it did. And then you see that photo of the game kicking off, and it's ridiculous. It's absolute, as you said, maximum 100, 150 Accies fans there. Me take everything else out of it. He mentioned Yogi Hughes being there. He was sitting just behind me at the game, and spoke to him once or twice during it. And what he said was, I'd mentioned something about obviously the Saturday coming up, and what he said was, Accies are no better than the Dunfermline team he's managing, but he's working on getting them organised. And see, when it comes down to it, an organised team can sometimes win you a game. Doesn't matter how good of players you've got or anything. I'm not saying that we're disorganised, but
we are disorganised.
We're disorganised. We're disorganised in parts, but I'm not saying that being disorganised is the reason we're losing games.
No.
Mm-hmm. But we are disorganised in parts as well. After the game, Stuart Taylor's press conference comes out with the club, and it's a lot of the same recycled stuff we hear all the time. Something he mentions in the press was the January transfer window. And I want to get your thoughts on this, because we spoke about transfers, I don't know how many times on podcasts.
We've gave them signings to make.
You gave them the Raven Over squad last season. But like we've spoken about transfers a lot, and something he mentioned goes against two of Aki's biggest things in transfer windows. Number one, he says, is they're going to pay money for players. Doesn't happen at Aki's usually. And two, he said about getting deals done early in January so they're ready. Again, Aki's famously don't get deals done early in windows. I want to get your thoughts on that, because I'm not any more enthusiastic or any more excited when he says something like that, because the two things he said are two fundamentals Accies don't go with: spending money and doing business early. Is that lip service, or are you expecting him to follow through in that? Are you expecting money to be spent in early on?
I mean, I think somebody responded to that article, and it's probably majority of Aki's fans' thoughts was, I'll pin this tweet and bring it back up on the 2nd of February. I, to be honest with you, mate, if you were to, like, tell us, like, it seems like lip service is the best way to say it. He clearly sees how disinterested, and the fans have clearly shown on Tuesday, and they continue to show how disengaged and disinterested they are, because what the club have sort of not done. So I'll hold my breath on that one. It's clear that they need to do something. We told them in the summer stuff was needed to be done, but we were told it had to be the right person. And no, I totally agree, it needs to be the right person, but they would have probably been the right person in the summer. As we mentioned there, we do these podcasts, and it's not as if we just come on and we've not done any sort of research, and we've no sort of logically thought about things. And that's why I never understand how, if we can see it, if 90% of the fans voicing on social media can always see where the issues are, because it's not as if we were saying in the summer that we were a million miles apart for challenging or competing. We gave positions we think we needed, and if we improved on, then we had a chance. And it's been clear to see that the positions that we've said and we've said that we should improve in, if we did improve in them and we did recruit well, we wouldn't be in the position we're in, and we wouldn't be being critical, and we probably wouldn't be as disengaged and disinterested in what we are, because although we have been pumped a lot of games, and don't get me wrong, I'm not defending some of the results. There's a lot of games where there have been very fine margins, and if we score the chances that we've created, that we don't know how the game's going to go, and the game could have been put to bed long before we've got the opportunity to crumble in the way in which we have. So I say we'll wait till January, but if we wait, looking at the fixtures we've got coming up, mate, if we with the sort of mentality that seems to be about the fans, the club, the first team, the management, it just, everything's so negative, and everything's, it's like he's saying he needs to lift the mentality, pick them up. Well, if he doesn't do it soon, then it doesn't matter about January signings, because we'll be on our way to League One by January. If we don't pick up results in December, it's no easy fixtures.
No. Something I want to pick up just from the Kelly game was, and it kind of goes with the mentality aspect, is it was so laboured, is what I kept saying in the video reactions I was filming. Every pass was laboured, runs were laboured, players were arguing amongst themselves. Now, I know that happens in games, but you get Andy Ryan turning screaming at players for not laying a ball off. You've got Kieran McDonald getting delivered hospital passes for the defence. It's just, it seems as if the kind of negative attitude of the fans with the club is maybe spreading now onto the pitch, and you're starting to see that with the players. I know you've mentioned before in the video about an attitude of not caring, and that carrying on to the pitch. I don't know if that's the case, but
for what I've heard a lot, that there is a lot of toxicity in the dressing room, and there's a lot of bickering amongst divided groups of players, which, when things aren't going well on the park, and when we might not be a huge club, but when you're not a huge club, it's no hard for all the players to see what's happening in social media, and to see 99.9% of their fans voicing their opinions, and it's not exactly pleasant opinions. So that is going to sort of vent through to the dressing room in some way or other. And it's clear to see on the pitch that there's no a leader. It just seems to be a complete divide amongst them, and it's not a good look at all on the park. They just all look lost, is the best way to put it. One thing I would want to touch on about the Kilmarnock game, if we can go back on that, is the system that we continue to play. A lot of people just keep going on to me about how Andy Ryan's a waste out in the wing.
Yeah.
I think when we first started, it was two up top, Ryan and Moyo. I know a lot of Accies fans are Moyo's biggest fan, but if you're going to use them, then use them with someone up top. Do you know what I mean? In my opinion, we are creating a lot of chances with this, the system that we're in, but it's when we're creating the chances, there's such a big gap between other players coming up to support that the chances are wasted as soon as the first sort of attempt's made. So I feel we need to sort of have a change up of the system as well, because look at the result of the past few games. There's not been any wins in a long time. Do you know what I mean? So
something I picked up on the game as well was when Stuart Taylor first came in, he was talking about this new system and, you know, this high intensity he wants to play. And we got that for the first few games, I want to say, the first part of games. I don't know where that's gone. That intensity has totally disappeared for the game. I don't know if he's maybe realised that the players he's got aren't good enough to play that system, and that's why he's pushing so hard for the January window or whatever. But just the intensity seems to totally have dropped, and that's where, you know, like the result against Queen of the South and some better performances came off the back of that intensity that we played at, and it's totally disappeared. I said previously, I do agree with you. I think the system needs tweaked and it needs changed because Andy Ryan is absolutely wasting the wing. You're spot on there, and I've seen a few fans tweet me about it as well. You know, one of the big problems with Andy Ryan the first time round he was here was he was getting played out in the wing and he was useless. Now he's our best striker. He's our top goal scorer. He's arguably our best player, and we're putting him out wide, but he's less effective. We need
and I have to say, since he's came in, he has been a breath of fresh air. But the past couple of weeks, he's been non-existent, and you can see how frustrated he is as well. He should not be in the wing. He should be up top with Moyo until January, until we bring in some recruits, because you play two up top. I genuinely think they two would work together up top. I don't see. They're no similar players, and I think every other fan can see if we're going to have Moyo, then you need somebody up top with him, and if you're going to have Ryan, you need somebody up top with him. Giving someone that job up top for Accies with the system he's playing, when it's clear to see the press is completely gone, it's such a hard job to do. You saw it against Arbroath, you saw it against Morton, and then you saw it the other game as well. I can't remember for the life of me who it was, who at home, I can't remember. But it's such a hard job when up top for Accies in that isolated role. You've got no support, and if we want to be winning games, then we're going to have to score more than one goal and put the game to bed, which with the system we've got, I just don't see happening.
No. Well, listen, let's look ahead to the game at the weekend. Dunfermline, who obviously not had a great start to the season. Yogi Hughes just came in and kind of revitalised their season. They're pushing now well up the table. They're bringing some of their best players that we mentioned at the start of the season, people like Dom Thomas, Kai Kennedy. They're starting now to come into the games a lot more and start causing other teams problems. I can't see it going any other way. I can't see it going anywhere than an Dunfermline win. I really honestly can't. Changes to the lineup. Now, we picked up a few injuries against Kilmarnock. Sean Warren, I doubt will start. He limped off and then came and sat in the stands. Jamie Hamilton get taken off. Ben Sterling get taken off. So we could very much see a kind of makeshift backline. You could see like Matheson starting again. I do think changes need to be made. I agree with you. Andy Ryan and David Moyer need to play up top together, not Andy Ryan out wide. I would take the wingers out of it this game and I would try and go central. That would be my opinion. People at Lewis Smith have been really, really quiet recently. and not been creating chances or obviously having any to score. Marley Redfern's been in and out of the team. I would try and streamline the team to be more central. I would bring in Vertanen and Scott Martin into the midfield, David Moyle and Andy Ryan up top. Maybe Josh Mullen, if you want to bring him in, if you want to go a little bit more robust, maybe Regan Mimno. I know he's not incredibly robust, but he's deeper line than Josh Mullen. So I think this is going to be a game where if we don't fight and if we're not tough and hard to break down, it's going to be easy for Dunfermline, is my opinion. With the way they're playing and how organised Yogi will have that team, I think we're going to really, really, really struggle.
No, I totally agree. Yogi will have, as he spoke to you about, he'll have them much more organised. On paper, there's not much difference between both sides, as we keep saying. That team we've got on paper should not be near be where we are. We shouldn't be getting the results we're getting. On paper, that is a top half championship side. With a couple more recruits, we would be fighting with a decent manager that we had is decently set up. It's not a bad team in paper, but unfortunately, I see Yogi having them set up well. I'm sure he's spoke to his good mate Chipper to find out the insecurities and the sort of places which to attack and which to sort of try and utilise against us on. So I can't say much by Dunfermline. I agree with you and the rest of the team, the fans, that we need to change the setup. The only thing is I don't think he's going to change the setup, which is why I think they walk over the top of us. If we did change it, I do agree with you to an extent. Go a bit more centrally. Vertanen, Martin Mullen, Mimno as a four in midfield, even sort of 4-3-1-2 maybe. You could even play it that way. But I just unfortunately don't see him doing that, and I can just see him sticking with his, whatever you want to call it, 4-3-3. That's not a 4-3-3, which is probably a 4-3-2-1, which the two attackers are extremely deep, but then the three midfielders are about 50 yards away from the defence, so it makes no sense. But Dunfermline win for me, unfortunately. And I just think the fans will continue to voice with their feet. I think because it's a Saturday and people have already bought their season tickets, they'll probably be there for this one. But I just think even fans with season tickets aren't going to the games now. I can just see some more people voicing their displeasure at the whole situation because it's wrong.
Yeah. Well, listen, before we go, let's get our score predictions as we do for our league table. Went a little bit quiet, but we're back getting our score predictions in. Neither of us got full points for the Kilmarnock game, unfortunately. I'm going to go, like I said, with Dunfermline win. I don't think there'll be much in it, is the problem I think we're going to have, as I don't think there'll be much in it, but I do think they'll be much more organised, so I can't see us scoring. I'm going to say 2-0 Dunfermline.
I'll go 3-1 Dunfermline.
3-1 Dunfermline. All right. Well, you've heard our score predictions. Obviously, you can let us know yours on the tweet on the day. We will put up, comment them to be involved in our league table. Thank you very much for watching. We hope you did enjoy it, and we will speak to you after the game.